Hey everyone, and welcome back to Simple Mind Space. It's funny. I often feel a twinge of embarrassment about my career path. Here I am talking about trust, cooperation, human connection, values that should be a given in any organization. Yet here we are. The fact that there's a demand for what I do, that people like you are tuning in, tells me that we still have work to do. It means trust and cooperation haven't quite found their rightful place as cornerstones in our workplaces. But hey, that's why we're here, right? We're on a mission to change that. Now, I'm going to do something a little different today. You see, when you're fortunate enough to have a platform to speak to so many of you, there's this temptation to stick to what you know, to deliver the same polished message you've given 100 times before. But I'm not wired that way. So today we're going off script. We're diving into uncharted territory. Here's the thing. I'm convinced that there are two qualities that separate truly great leaders from the rest of the pack: empathy and perspective. I can't emphasize this enough because these two things get lost in the shuffle, buried beneath layers of corporate jargon and the relentless pursuit of the bottom line. You see, leaders often get so caught up in their status, their position on the organizational chart, that they lose sight of what it truly means to lead. They forget that leadership isn't about being the boss, about barking orders from some ivory tower. It's about taking care of the people entrusted to their care. And this, my friends, is where we often go wrong. Think about it. When we're starting out, fresh-faced and eager to prove ourselves, our primary responsibility is to excel at our assigned tasks. We go through rigorous training programs, master complex software, and dedicate ourselves to becoming experts in our respective fields, and rightfully so. Our companies invest heavily in our professional development, equipping us with the tools and knowledge to thrive in our roles. But then something interesting happens. We excel, we rise through the ranks, we earn promotions, and suddenly we find ourselves thrust into positions of leadership, responsible for managing the very people who were once our peers. The problem? No one teaches us how to do that. We're given the keys to the leadership car without ever having taken a single driving lesson. Is it any wonder, then, that so many managers resort to micromanagement and control tactics? They know how to do the job better than anyone else, because that's what got them promoted in the first place. The true challenge, the one that separates managers from true leaders, lies in making a fundamental shift. It's about transitioning from being responsible for the task to being responsible for the people who perform the task. It's about recognizing that our success hinges not on our individual brilliance, but on the collective efforts of our team. And here's the kicker. Most companies simply aren't equipped to guide us through this critical transition. They fail to recognize that leadership, like any other skill, requires training, practice, and constant refinement. It's like a muscle. The more we use it, the stronger it becomes. Conversely, if we neglect it, our leadership abilities atrophy. Take parenting, for example. Everyone has the potential to become a parent, but not everyone is cut out for it, nor should they be. Parenthood is a calling, one that demands tremendous personal sacrifice. The same holds true for leadership. We all possess the capacity to lead, but it's not a path meant for everyone. And that's okay. Great leaders understand that they are not in charge, they are responsible for those in their charge. This means making tough choices, like deflecting praise and shouldering the blame. It means staying late to mentor a struggling team member or providing a shoulder to cry on when things go wrong. It means leading with compassion and understanding, recognizing that our team members are human beings with lives, families, and struggles that extend far beyond the office walls. One of the most common misconceptions about leadership is that it's all about results. I can't tell you how many times I've asked CEOs about their top priority, only to hear them proudly proclaim, "my customer." And while customer satisfaction is undeniably important, I'd argue that it's not the CEO's direct responsibility. CEOs are responsible for building and nurturing the teams that are responsible for the teams that directly interact with customers. It's a subtle but crucial distinction. Let me illustrate this point with a true story. A while back, I was fortunate enough to stay at the Four Seasons in Las Vegas. Now, the Four Seasons is renowned for its impeccable service, but that impeccable service isn't a result of fancy beds or luxurious amenities. Any hotel can invest in material comforts. What sets the Four Seasons apart is its people. You see, when you walk through the halls of the Four Seasons, you're greeted with genuine warmth and hospitality. You get the distinct feeling that the staff genuinely cares about your well-being. One afternoon, I decided to grab a cup of coffee from the lobby coffee stand. The barista, Noah, was fantastic. He was friendly, engaging, and made the entire experience so enjoyable that I left him a hefty tip. Naturally curious, I asked Noah if he enjoyed his job. Without missing a beat, he replied, "I love my job." Intrigued, I probed further, wanting to understand what made the Four Seasons such a special place to work. Noah's response was simple yet profound. Throughout the day, managers will walk past me and ask how I'm doing, if there's anything I need to do my job better. And it's not just my manager, it's any manager. Then he dropped a bombshell. "I also work at Caesar's Palace," he confessed. "At Caesar's Palace, the managers are constantly on our backs, trying to catch us doing something wrong. When I go to work there, I just try to keep my head down and get through the day so I can collect my paycheck. But here at the Four Seasons, I feel like I can be myself." Same person, two different work environments, two vastly different experiences. The stark contrast between Noah's experiences at the Four Seasons and Caesar's Palace highlights the profound impact of leadership on employee morale and engagement. We, as leaders, are often quick to point fingers, to lament about the challenges of finding and retaining top talent. "We need to get the right people on the bus," we exclaim. But the reality is, it's not about the people, it's about the environment we create. It's about fostering a culture of trust, respect, and support, where people feel valued, empowered, and inspired to bring their best selves to work. If we create the right environment, one that prioritizes employee well-being and fosters a sense of belonging, we'll attract and retain top-tier talent like Noah at the Four Seasons. Conversely, if we foster a culture of fear and micromanagement, we'll end up with disengaged employees who are simply going through the motions, like Noah at Caesar's Palace. Think about it. We wouldn't dream of firing our children if they were struggling in school. We'd shower them with love, support, and guidance, helping them overcome their challenges and reach their full potential. Yet, when an employee faces performance issues, our first instinct is often to show them the door. We fail to extend the same empathy and understanding to our team members that we would to our own flesh and blood. Let's talk about what empathy looks like in action, especially in the workplace. Sadly, this is a common scenario in the corporate world. An employee is summoned to their manager's office. "Your numbers have been down for 3 quarters in a row," the manager states coldly. "You need to pick up the pace, or I can't guarantee your job security." How motivated and inspired do you think that employee feels walking out of that meeting? Now let's contrast that with a more empathetic approach. The manager, noticing the employee's dip in performance, schedules a private meeting. "Hey, I've noticed your numbers have been a bit off lately," the manager begins, concern etched on their face. "Is everything okay? I'm worried about you." The employee, taken aback by their manager's genuine concern, confides that they've been struggling with a sick child at home. The manager listens patiently, offering words of support and exploring ways to alleviate the employee's workload. That's empathy in action. It's about seeing beyond the spreadsheets and deadlines, recognizing that our team members are human beings with lives and struggles that extend far beyond the office walls. It's about creating a safe space where people feel comfortable being vulnerable, asking for help, and knowing that their well-being matters. Now, one group that often faces a lack of empathy in the workplace is millennials. Let's be honest, there's no shortage of articles and think pieces lamenting the so-called millennial problem. They're lazy, entitled, glued to their phones. The list of grievances goes on. But I'm here to offer a different perspective. I believe that if we truly want to understand and effectively lead millennials, we need to start with empathy. We need to understand the unique challenges they face and the forces that have shaped their worldviews. So, let's break it down, shall we? I see 4 primary factors at play here: parenting, technology, impatience, and environment. Let's start with parenting. Now, I'm not here to point fingers or pass judgment, but I think it's fair to say that many millennials were raised with a parenting style that emphasized praise and self-esteem above all else. They were told they were special, that they could achieve anything they set their minds to, regardless of effort or merit. They received trophies for participation, not for winning. While well-intentioned, this approach had some unintended consequences. It created a generation that's uncomfortable with failure, that struggles to cope with setbacks, and that has an inflated sense of their own abilities. Then there's technology. We've all heard the horror stories about millennials being glued to their phones, incapable of holding a face-to-face conversation without nervously checking their notifications. And while it's easy to dismiss this as mere rudeness or a lack of social skills, I think it's far more complex than that. You see, technology, particularly social media, has a profound impact on our brains. When we receive a notification, a like, or a comment, our brains release dopamine, a neurochemical associated with pleasure and reward. This creates a powerful feedback loop, one that keeps us coming back for more, even when we know we should be doing something else. Millennials, having grown up in the age of instant gratification and constant connectivity, are particularly susceptible to this dopamine-driven cycle. They've never known a world without smartphones, without instant access to information and entertainment. Now, imagine you're a millennial who's struggling with insecurity and self-doubt. You're bombarded with images of seemingly perfect lives on Instagram, of peers who seem to have it all figured out. You're constantly comparing yourself, coming up short, and seeking validation through likes, comments, and followers. It's a recipe for anxiety, depression, and a host of other mental health challenges. And sadly, we're seeing the consequences of this technological dependence play out in alarming ways, from increased rates of depression and anxiety to a decline in face-to-face communication skills. But it's not just technology that's shaping millennials' worldviews. Their impatience, their desire for instant gratification is also a product of the world they've inherited. They've grown up in a world where they can order anything they desire with a single click, where information is readily available at their fingertips, and where entertainment is just a swipe away. This constant access to instant gratification has created a disconnect between effort and reward, leading some millennials to believe that success should come easily and quickly. They haven't necessarily developed the same work ethic or patience as previous generations, who often had to grind and hustle for every opportunity. And then we have the environment. We're taking these bright, talented, and idealistic young people, many of whom are already grappling with insecurity, technological dependence, and a skewed sense of instant gratification. And we're throwing them into corporate environments that often prioritize profits over people, that value short-term gains over long-term sustainability, and that have normalized practices like mass layoffs and shareholder supremacy. Is it any wonder that so many millennials are disillusioned with the corporate world? They're being asked to thrive in a system that often seems at odds with their values, that prioritizes the bottom line over their well-being, and that fails to provide them with the support and guidance they need to succeed. So what's the solution? Well, it starts with empathy. We need to start seeing the world through the eyes of our millennial colleagues, understanding the unique challenges they face, and recognizing that their behaviors are often a product of their upbringing and the world they've inherited. We need to create work environments that foster trust, respect, and open communication. We need to provide clear expectations, consistent feedback, and opportunities for growth and development. And perhaps most importantly, we need to lead with empathy, recognizing that our team members are human beings with lives and struggles that extend far beyond the office walls. Empathy is a muscle. The more we use it, the stronger it becomes. And as we become more empathetic leaders, we'll not only create more engaged and productive teams, but we'll also create a more compassionate and understanding world. But empathy alone isn't enough. We also need perspective, a fundamental shift in how we view the world and our place in it. Let me introduce you to a concept that has profoundly changed my own outlook: finite games versus infinite games. This concept, popularized by author James Carse, provides a powerful framework for understanding the dynamics at play in business and in life. A finite game is like a game of chess. It has a clear beginning, a predetermined set of rules, and a definitive end. The goal is to outmaneuver your opponent, to capture their king, and declare victory. An infinite game, on the other hand, is more like the game of life itself. It has no fixed rules, no finish line, and the players can change over time. The goal is not to win or lose, but to keep the game going, to keep playing, to keep evolving. The problem is that many of us, particularly in the business world, approach life as a finite game. We're constantly striving to beat the competition, to be number one, to achieve some arbitrary definition of success. But here's the thing. There's no winning the infinite game. There's no finish line to cross, no trophy to hoist, no ultimate victory to claim. The only way to win is to keep playing, to keep adapting, to keep striving to make a difference. Think about companies like Apple, Southwest Airlines, and Harley-Davidson. These companies are often hailed as exceptions, as outliers in a sea of mediocrity. But I'd argue that their success stems from their understanding of the infinite game. They're not obsessed with beating the competition or chasing short-term profits. Instead, they're driven by a clear sense of purpose, a deep understanding of their customers' needs, and a relentless commitment to innovation and improvement. Jim Sinegal, the founder of Costco, famously said, "Public companies are looking to succeed for the quarter. We're looking for the next 50 years." That's the mindset of an infinite player. They're playing the long game, focusing on building a sustainable business that will stand the test of time. The beauty of the infinite game is that there's always room for growth, for improvement, for making a difference. When we stop obsessing over beating the competition and start focusing on serving our customers, on empowering our employees, and on making a positive impact on the world, that's when we unlock our true potential as leaders. So how do we embrace the infinite game in our own lives and careers? First, we need to define our why. What's our purpose? What impact do we want to make on the world? What legacy do we want to leave behind? Once we have a clear sense of our why, we can start making decisions that align with our values, even if those decisions don't always make sense in the context of a finite game. We can prioritize long-term sustainability over short-term profits. We can invest in our employees' development, even if it doesn't immediately translate to a boost in quarterly earnings. We can focus on building a culture of trust and collaboration, knowing that it will pay dividends in the long run. The infinite game is not for the faint of heart. It requires courage, resilience, and a willingness to embrace uncertainty. But it's also incredibly liberating. When we let go of the need to win, to be right, to be in control, we open ourselves up to a world of possibilities. We become more creative, more innovative, and more impactful leaders. So, as you navigate the complexities of leadership, remember these two essential qualities: empathy and perspective. Lead with empathy, understanding the unique challenges and perspectives of your team members. And embrace the infinite game, focusing on building something meaningful and lasting, something that extends far beyond your own ego and ambition. The world needs more empathetic, purpose-driven leaders. Be one of them. And that's our show for today. If you enjoyed this episode and found it valuable, please take a moment to like, subscribe, and share it with your friends. And as always, thank you for tuning in to Simple Mind Space. Until next time, take care and keep striving to unlock your full potential.